March 11 hearing will come to order, and now the board is here in section. Mr. Hurdle?
Thank you, Chairman. I'm Attorney Abraham Hurdle, counsel of the board. At the beginning of every meeting, counsel makes a few brief announcements. First, the commissioners are part-time public servants, and they have other outside interests. When they know they have a conflict of interest or appearance of a conflict of interest, they recuse themselves. They cannot possibly know who will appear before the board in any given matter, which may present a conflict of interest to them. If anybody believes that any commissioner has a conflict of interest in any matter, you have to announce that to us at the beginning of the case, so that the commissioners or commissioners, as the case may be, will deal with that accordingly. If not, the commissioners will proceed with all hearings under the assumption there is no conflict of interest. Secondly, the rules of the board provide that the chair, for the purpose of administrative and judicial economy, can have the board's counsel rule on admissibility of evidence and objections if there are counsel present and objections are made. The board handles many cases at every hearing, and this assignment allows us to expedite the hearing. So rather than having the chairman turn to me and me advising the chairman, I'll simply make a ruling, and my ruling will be that of the chair. As everyone is aware, renewals are in session, and as such, transfers for new licenses and in current process transfers will not be handled until May 1st. I'll turn it back to the chair. To Chief Inspector Ward. Chief Inspector Ford at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hurdle. Welcome, everyone. Okay, our first case is Benfield Wine and Spirits, M&K Sons, Inc., Navneet Kumar Patel, President, Girish Pancholi, Treasurer, Detective Middleton, badge number 1061, Detective Cepeda, badge number 1239, Inspector Alvin Few. This is for a Class A beer, wine, liquor, beer, wine tasting Sunday license located at 401-101 Headquarters Drive, Suites 103 and 104, Millersville, Maryland, 21108. This is for one, violation of the rules of and regulations of the Board of License Commissioners for Anne Arundel County, Chapter 4, Section 4.01A, minors, regarding Anne Arundel County Police Report Number 24-742441 by Detective Middleton, badge number 1061, and Detective Cepeda, badge number 1239, incident date November 21st, 2024. 2, violation of the Alcoholic Beverages and Cannabis Article, Annotated Code of Maryland, Title 6, Section 6-304, selling or providing alcoholic beverages to individual under the age of 21 years, regarding Anne Arundel County Police Report Number 24-742441 by Detective Middleton, badge number 1061, and Detective Cepeda, badge number 1239, incident date November 21st, 2024. Anyone wishing to testify for or against, please, I see you've already approached the table. Please raise your right hands for me. Do you solemnly swear and affirm, under the penalty of perjury, that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much. You may be seated. And Detective Middleton, if we could start with you, if you could state your name and address for the record, please.
Detective Thomas Middleton, badge 1061, assigned to Western District, Anne Arundel County Police.
Detective Charles Cepeda, Anne Arundel County Police Department, Western District.
Matul Patel, Operations Manager, address 4837 Royal Cushman Drive, Elkridge, Maryland, 21075.
Navneet Kumar Patel, 4837 Royal Coachman Drive, Elkridge, Maryland.
Girish Pancholi, Treasurer, address 116 Range Road, Glen Burnie, Maryland, 21061.
Thank you very much, everyone. Mr. Hurdle.
Detectives?
Good evening, Board. Detective Middleton, Anne Arundel County Police. This incident was November 21st of 2024, approximately 8:40 p.m. Detective Cepeda and myself were working Operation Save, conducting alcohol sales compliance checks of retail businesses. We directed a confidential source, 19 years of age subject, who we had verified through MVA records, and we have a certified copy here tonight for the verification of age, to enter the Benfield Wine and Spirits at 401 Headquarters Drive, Suite 104 in Millersville, Anne Arundel County, Maryland. We observed the confidential source enter the business. The CS went in the store, picked out a six-pack of Busch Light beer, took it to the front counter. The clerk did not ask the confidential source for identification. The CS was given official Anne Arundel County funds, was able to purchase the Busch Light beer from the clerk. The CS exited the business, immediately turned over the alcoholic beverages to us. I know through my training, knowledge, and experience that Busch Light beer is an alcoholic beverage. Detective Cepeda and I entered the store, identified ourselves as police officers, and identified the clerk as owner Navit Kumar Patel. The clerk advised that he was on the manager's agreement and was alcohol awareness trained. He was advised of the violation. Photograph was taken of Mr. Patel, the Anne Arundel County liquor license, and a photograph was taken of the Busch Light beer, which was subsequently destroyed. The clerk was cooperative, and the store was not busy at the time of the sale. A copy of the report was then forwarded to the Anne Arundel County Liquor Board, and that would be my statement of facts.
The licensees have any questions of the officers?
No.
Chairman, do you have any questions of the officers?
No.
Madam Commissioner, do you have any questions?
No, no questions.
Turn over to licensees.
Good evening, Commissioners and members of the board. What brings us here before you today is the violation of a sale of alcohol to a minor. I'd like to start with the admission to the underage sale service violation and with explanation. There is no excuse for the underage sale and service to a minor, and we take this matter very seriously. My father, Navnit Kumar Patel, has been a licensee and owner of the establishment for over 24 years and has no other interest or any other license in the state of Maryland. He is alcohol awareness certified and had renewed his certification in August of 2024. And this is my father's first violation he's ever committed in the 24 years of owning the business. For what had occurred on that day, my father was on premise beginning at the start of the business at 10 a.m. and till close till business 9 p.m., approximately 11 hours. An employee with alcohol awareness certification who was listed on the manager's agreement was supposed to be on duty that evening but had called out sick last minute. I was out of town that week and no other personnel was able to assist on that particular day, leaving him alone to manage the register and stock handle as needed. The incident took place approximately 8:40 p.m., which is 20 minutes before the close of our business at 9 p.m. And my father made a poor judgment call, and he did not ask for identification of the individual. And day in and day out, this is his practice to ask for identification, and he failed to do so. And this is one of the most regrettable decisions that he has made, and it still bothers him to this day.
No, thank you.
I mean, we do admit the sale. He has regretted this decision, and based on what is presented to you, the board, we ask for leniency and possibility to merge the counts 1 and 2 into one violation, as Commissioner Harris has granted in the past previously in hearings. Last date is September 10th, 2024.
Chairman, do you have any questions?
Yes, Mr. Patel is the owner, you owner?
I'm the owner.
Yeah.
You the owner, okay.
Commissioner, do you have any questions? Turn over to the board to deliberate.
Realizing that this is your first offense, but according to record, this is the third violation that you have occurred at this location. And I make a motion that we fine you, we merge the charge into one account, and we fine you $1,500. Considering the fact that this is your third violation within a 5-year time.
For a second.
I second the motion. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, our next case is Champion Liquors.
Waive reading.
Thank you, Mr. Lyman. Anyone wishing to testify for or against, please approach the table and remain standing. And if you could please remain standing and raise your right hand for me. Thank you very much. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. You may be seated. And Detective Middleton, we'll start with you again. Pardon? Oh, Detective Sabetta.
Sorry, Detective Cepeda, Anne Arundel County Police Department, Western District.
And Mr. Lyman.
Thank you, Mr. Herm. Brian Lyman, Lyman, attorney on behalf of the licensees, Ms. Bott and Shreo.
Deepa Bhatt, President of Champion Liquor, 7385 Baltimore Annapolis Boulevard.
Thank you.
Anit Patel, Baltimore Annapolis 7385.
One more time, please.
Manit Patel, Champion Liquor 7385 Baltimore Annapolis Boulevard, Section C.
Thank you. Mr. Hurdle.
Detectives.
Good evening. On 11/21/2024, at approximately 6:50 hours, Detective Middleton and I were working Operation Save, conducting alcohol compliance checks within the county. We directed a confidential source, 19 years of age, to enter the Champion Liquors, which is located at 7385 Baltimore Annapolis Boulevard, Unit C as in Charlie. That's in Glen Burnie, Maryland, Anne Arundel County. We observed the confidential source enter the business. The confidential source went into the store, picked out a 12-pack of Bud Light beer, and took it to the front counter. We observed that the clerk did not ask the confidential source for identification. Confidential source was given official Anne Arundel County funds prior to entering and was able to purchase the Bud Light beer from the clerk. Confidential source then exited the business and immediately turned over the alcoholic beverages to myself and Detective Middleton. We know through our training, knowledge, and experience that Bud Light beer is an alcoholic beverage. Detective Middleton and I then entered the establishment, identified ourselves as police officers, and then identified the clerk as Manit Rashibi Patel, who's seated at my left. The clerk advised that the alcohol awareness trained, and it was advised of the alcohol violation. Photograph was taken of the clerk. The Anne Arundel County liquor license was properly displayed inside the establishment. The manager was also at the front counter inside the establishment as well, and who was identified as Bahit Deepa, who advised that he was on the manager's agreement as well. Photograph was taken of the alcoholic beverage, and then it was subsequently destroyed. The clerk was cooperative, and I have one correction in my report. The establishment was not busy at the time of the sale. A copy of this report was then forwarded to the Anne Arundel County Liquor Board. That is all.
Mr. Lyman, do you have any questions?
Oh, I'm sorry, maybe I missed it. What time did the confidential source obtain the alcohol?
Approximately 1850 hours.
Can you say that in layman's terms?
I'm sorry, 6:50.
6:50 p.m.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Chairman, do you have any questions?
I have no questions.
Commissioner?
No questions.
Mr. Lyman?
Thank you, Mr. Hurdle. My client, Ms. Bott, is going to admit the violation and proceed with an explanation and a request for leniency by the board. This incident occurred the day after this store was robbed. Both Mr. Patel, who's seated here, and the manager on duty were up all evening the night before. This incident occurred at about 6:50 p.m., as you heard, the next day. Frankly, they were tired. They weren't functioning at their normal and full capacities, and they made an error in judgment. The clerk made an error in judgment in selling to the underage source. He considered the source to be of age. The policy at the store is that anybody who is appears to be 30 years or older is not carded. I've advised them that they should probably think about that policy. They do have an ID scanner that is typically used. I believe it was not employed in this case, and the sale happened. I believe that you'll find, if you review the board's records, that Champion Liquors has not had prior violations by Ms. Bott in at least the last 2 years. I don't know about the last 5 years. I know that's the board's policy to look back 5 years. I would trust Commissioner Duffy and the sitting chairman tonight to relate those facts to us as is appropriate. This is not a problem location for services of underage individuals. And in this case, there were extenuating circumstances, and the staff on duty was tired and exhausted because they had literally been there all night. The locks had been broken on the store, and they were securing the store after the robbery the prior day. I would ask that the board consider merging the two counts. You've heard argument from me on other cases that it seems peculiar that one set of facts leads to two guilty charges and two guilty violations in circumstances, especially like this, where there are extenuating circumstances for essentially the same offending conduct, which is one incident, one poor decision. And I would ask the board to consider merging these two counts and issuing an appropriate fine.
Chairman, do you have any questions?
Yes, to answer your question, Mr. Lyman, there was one instance of a violation. It occurred on the 11th, 27th of 22.
Any questions, Commissioner?
No questions.
And I make a motion that we are taking into consideration of merging both cases into one to show consistency of with the first case. And I'm going to make a motion that we fine $1,500.
I second the motion to fine $1,500 merged counts.
We have a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you, Mr. Earl.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Mr. Lyman.
Thank you, everyone. Our next case, Latella's Discount Liquor. Vic Corporation, Gurmeet Kaur, President. Sandeep Kumar Mehta, Secretary. Nathan Singleton, Clerk. Detective Middleton, badge number 1061. Detective Cepeda, badge number 1239. Inspector George Matthews. This is a Class A beer, wine, liquor, wine tasting Sunday license located at 2733B Annapolis Road, Hanover, Maryland, 21076. First violation of the rules and regulations of the Board of License Commissioners for annual. Thank you very much. If you could all please raise your right hand for me. And I'm sorry, I assume there's no one else who wants to testify for or against. Thank you. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you very much. You may be seated.
Detective Middleton, Anne Arundel County Police, currently assigned to Western District.
Detective Charles Cepeda, Edgewater County Police, Western District.
And, Mr. Commissioner, we're going to be going forward on an admission to the violation. I'm well familiar with.
Mr. Jones, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but if you could just state your name and address for the record, and we'll go through that, and then we can come back to you.
I just assumed everybody knew me. For the record, I'm Attorney Daryl Jones, and I'm representing Latella's Liquors, big corporation.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am?
Gurmeet Kaur, 11507 Fox River Drive, Ellicott City, Maryland.
Thank you.
Nathan Singleton, 1609 Golden Chelsea Way.
Thank you very much. Detectives?
Before we get, Mr. Jones, is Mr. Mehta or Miss Mehta available? Are they here? The secretary of the corporation?
Mehta?
There were two licensees that were summoned, and then the clerk.
Yeah, the clerk is here. Mr. Mehta is not here. Gurmeet is here, who is the president.
It's been the policy of the board to postpone in these circumstances and issue an additional violation. For cooperation. They were summoned.
There was someone for three.
Indulge us for this.
From last week. We'll catch it. Circle back.
Okay, if we could step back, we could have the secretary, I believe, here. Rather than postpone.
Mr. Chairman, is it my understanding you'd like to postpone it till the next hearing? Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Sure, thank you.
Okay. Our next case is for Ridge Wine and Spirits. Thank you very much. Anybody wishing to testify for or against, please approach the table and remain standing. Thank you, Mr. Bittner. Okay, if you could please remain standing and raise your right hands for me. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much. You may be seated.
Good evening, Richard Bittner, BITTNER, on behalf of the licensees. The board, please, Mr. Gorman, his presence was waived. This is a carryover case from the snow. I did not republish that request. I assumed, I hope not erroneously, that it carried over.
Thank you, Mr. Bittner, for
Detective Charles Cepeda, Western District, Anne Arundel County Police.
Thank you.
Detective Thomas Middleton, Anne Arundel County Police, Western District.
Mr. Bittner?
Rishi Kapoor, 101 Deep Skies Drive.
Hari Kesi, 9314 Cherry Hill Road, College Park, Maryland.
Thank
And
you.
again, Richard Bittner, BITTNER, on behalf of the licensees. Enter a technical plea of a denial.
detectives.
Okay. Good evening again. This incident was December 2nd, 2024, approximately 8:30 p.m. Detective Cepeda and I were working Operation Save, conducting alcohol sales compliance checks of retail
Object to the
businesses.
reading of the report.
We directed
Overrule the objection.
a confidential source, 19 years of age subject, who we verified through the
Objection, his basis of knowledge that they were not.
Overrule the objection. You can continue, detective.
Okay, we verified our age of our confidential source through MVA. We have a certified copy tonight to present if needed. The CS entered the Ridge Wine and Spirits at 2659 Annapolis Road, Suite H. Henry in Hanover, Anne Arundel County, Maryland. We observed the confidential source enter the business. The CS went to the store, picked out a 12-pack of Miller Lite beer, took it to the front counter. The clerk did not ask the CS for identification. CS was given official Anne Arundel County funds, was able to purchase the Miller Lite beer from the clerk. The CS exited the business, immediately turned over the alcoholic beverages to myself and Detective Cepeda. I know through my training, knowledge, and experience that Miller Lite beer is an alcoholic beverage. Detective Cepeda and I entered the store, identified ourselves as police officers, and identified the clerk as Harry Casey. The clerk advised that he was on the manager's agreement and alcohol awareness trained. He was advised of the violation. Photograph was taken of Casey and the Anne Arundel County liquor license. Photograph was taken of the Miller Lite beer. It was subsequently destroyed. The clerk was cooperative. The store was not busy at the time of the sale. And a copy of the report was forwarded to the Anne Arundel County Liquor Board. And that would be my statement of facts.
Mr. Bittner, do you have any questions?
Thank you. As you indicated, Officer Middleton, Mr. Harry KC, he was cooperative.
Yes, sir.
And it's my understanding from your testimony in your report that you were not inside the store when this transaction purportedly occurred.
Correct.
In fact, you were outside in your car.
That's correct.
So you didn't actually see the transaction either, did you? In the parking lot, you can't see the cash register.
We were in the fire lane looking in through the front door. I could see them standing there, but I could not see the exchange of currency.
Okay. Was the CI searched for identification before they went into the store?
Yes.
I didn't see that in your report.
Mr. Bittner, questions,
Did you put
please?
that in your report anyway?
That's our procedure that we do before we start the operation.
Gotcha. Thank you. No other questions.
Chairman, do you have any questions? Commissioner? Mr. Bittner?
No, I don't have any other questions, or I'll just submit and ask to be heard in mitigation, assuming the final. So yes, commissioners, Mr. Kapoor appears before you. Your records that I've reviewed reflects that this would be the third violation since 2022, the last being about a year ago. The first violation was the same clerk. Mr. Hari KC is a 20-year veteran of the retail alcohol beverage industry, working mostly in liquor stores in Washington, D.C. and Prince George's County, where I'm told he never had a violation. When my client purchased the store a little over 4 years ago, he knew Mr. Hari. They had family and friends in common. They had business relations, if you would, in common. So he brought him into the business. He tells me, Mr. Kapoor, and I've met the clerk before coming in today, confirms it that they've developed a friendship, they've developed a relationship, and that was particularly after Mr. Hari lost his wife about 2 years ago, was diagnosed with diabetes. So I tell you that, members of the board, because when this client first came in, and I'm like, okay, you've had these violations, who was the prior violators? And my client said, well, it was the clerk, Harry KC, and I'm, well, why is he still working for you? He's got your whole future, he's got your family's future, your investment in his hands. And then that's when my client very candidly told me that story of why he's still working for him. Now, what Mr. Kapoor did, it didn't just go, okay, you made another mistake and, you know, hey, that's fine. Sorry for your recent loss of your wife and your health problems. He was demoted. He was taken off the cash register, I'm told, for 30 days. He suffered a diminution in his hourly rate. He was sent back to alcohol awareness. He was current, but Mr. Kapoor doubled down. He had all of his employees recertified. I submitted previously for the prior hearing back on February the 7th, photos of some strong remedial actions that Mr. Kapoor has taken. And I would ask that they be admitted, 5 pictures. You'll note, members, that there's now a formal policy that everyone under 40 is carded. He's placed new signage regarding that policy. He tells me, Mr. Kapoor does, that he's in the process of ordering a sign. The board used to give them out, and it's a sign that it says basically, it has a picture of a police officer on the front with a badge, and it says, be warned, undercover police officers may be posing as clerks. So it's his intention to have that sign posted on the front door, again, in response to his efforts to make sure that this, the best he can, it can't happen again. He also, you'll note, has upgraded his cash register system. So he now has a card reader, and the legal date of sales is placed on every transaction. So Mr. Kapoor recognizes that the second violation was him. He owns that. But Mr. Kapoor, and he owns everything, because he recognizes this is his license, it's his family that sinks or swims by his actions and all of the actions of his employees. And as we've talked about, and I know you've heard me say, and I've heard you say, you're only as good as your weakest link. I'd ask the board to consider a fine in this case. Mr. Kapoor's taken strong remedial actions. He has taken remedial actions as well, and sanctions, imposed sanctions to the clerk, who otherwise I think he would have just fired him. But I think it speaks volumes for Mr. Kapoor's character that he didn't. And I'd ask you to consider that. Mr. Kapoor's here. He's free to, he's happy to answer any of your questions. Mr. Hari KC has indicated to me that he would invoke his Fifth Amendment and not answer any questions.
Mr. Bittner, is it a denial or an admission at this point?
Well, we entered a denial, but I'm submitting on the evidence and would concede that the testimony of the officers make out a case that you could find a violation.
Any questions, Chairman?
No question. I would just like to commend Mr. Kapoor for his dedication to his employee.
Thank you.
Commissioner?
No questions.
Being that there's no question, I'm going to make a motion that we fine Mr. Kapoor and the employee with the sum of $2,000.
Thank you.
Is that 2,000 per count or
No,
merged?
No. It's 2,000 total.
2,000 total, okay. Is there a second? I second the motion. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Will we be excused?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Our next case is The Place, BAPA LLC, Pradeep Patel, member, Karan Patel, clerk, Detective Cepeda, badge number 1239, Detective Middleton, badge number 1061, Inspector Alvin Few. This is for Class D beer, wine, liquor, dancing Sunday service located at 8318 Telegraph Road, Odenton, Maryland 21113. The license is not restricted. The violations are as follows. 1. Violation of the rules and regulations of the Board of License Commissioners for Anne Arundel County, Chapter 4, Section 4.01A, minors, regarding Anne Arundel County Police Report number 24-743652 by Detective Cepeda, badge number 1239, and Detective Middleton, badge number 1061, incident date December 2nd, 2024. 2. violation of the Alcoholic Beverages and Cannabis Article Annotated Code of Maryland, Title 6, Section 6-304, selling or providing alcoholic beverages to individuals under the age of 21 years regarding Anne Arundel County Police Report number 2474-3652 by Detective Cepeda, badge number 1239, and Detective Middleton, badge number 1061, incident date December 2nd, 2024. Anybody wishing to testify for or against, please do approach the table. Remain standing, raising your right hand. Thank you. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much. You may be seated.
Detective Charles Cepeda, Anne Arundel County Police Department, Western District.
Detective Middleton, Anne Arundel County Police, Western District.
Karan Patel, 602 Strawberry Road, Severn, Maryland.
All right. Thank you very much.
Board, I don't think the licensee is present.
So my dad had to, he's my dad. He had to go back home. There was a family emergency, so he couldn't make it. We were supposed to come last month, but got postponed to this month, and he just couldn't make it. So not sure if we ought to postpone it or.
It is the board's policy to postpone and to cite for lack of cooperation. It's certainly an explanation that you can present at the next hearing.
Okay.
Chairman, is it your purview to postpone? And
Yes, we will postpone it.
you'll get notice for the next.
Okay. So do I have to email the board or for the postpone or? Perfect.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay. Our next case is for, I believe the detectives are excused now. Is that our last one?
No, with Tom's.
Tom's Liquors.
Still have another time.
Which I don't quite have. Excuse me. Thank you. Our next case is right in front of me, apparently, which is Tom's Liquors.
Wait reading.
Thank you, Mr. Lyman. Please remain standing and raise your right hands for me. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much.
Detective Charles Cepeda, Anne Arundel County Police Department, Western District.
Detective Thomas Middleton, Anne Arundel County Police, Western District.
Good evening, Brian Lyman, Lyman, on behalf of Edmonton Beverages, Inc., and Mr. Patel.
Krunal Patel, 7509 Terrain Court, Hanover, Maryland, 21076.
Mukesh Kumar Ambalal Patel, 7707 Lexington Court, Glenburn.
Detectives?
Good evening. On December 2nd, 2024, approximately 8 p.m., Detective Middleton and I were working alcohol enforcement retail business checks throughout the county. We directed a confidential source, 19 years of age. The age was verified through NBA records. Confidential source then entered the Tom's Liquors establishment, which is located at 8318 Annapolis Road in Irvington, Maryland, which is in Anne Arundel County. We'd observed the confidential source enter the business. The confidential source went to the establishment, picked out a six-pack of Yingling Light Lager beer, and took it to the sales counter. The clerk did not ask the confidential source for identification. The confidential source was given official Anne Arundel County funds and was able to purchase the alcoholic beverage from the clerk. Confidential source then exited the business and immediately turned over the alcoholic beverages to myself and Detective Middleton. We knew through our training, knowledge, and experience that Yingling Lager beer is an alcoholic beverage. Detective Middleton and I then entered the establishment and identified ourselves as police officers, then identified the clerk as Kushmar Patel, who's seated at my left. The clerk advised that he was alcohol awareness trained and advised of the violation in general. Photograph was taken of the clerk. The Anne Arundel County liquor license was properly displayed inside the establishment. The licensee, Krunal Patel, was not on location. Photograph was taken of the alcoholic beverage and was subsequently destroyed. The clerk was cooperative and the store was not busy at the time of the sale. A copy of this report was then forwarded to the Anne Arundel County Liquor Board.
Mr. Lyman, do you have any questions?
Yes. Detective Cepeda, what did you say the address was of the establishment?
Yeah, I apologize to the board. There's a correction on the address. It's actually 1592 Annapolis Road in Odenton, Maryland.
All right, and that's where these incidents actually occurred?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and are there any other corrections to your report or your prior testimony?
Not that I'm aware of, but no.
Okay, I believe you just testified that you checked the alcohol awareness certification of Mr. Patel, the clerk on duty?
He said he was alcohol awareness trained.
Okay, and did you do anything further to check that?
No.
Okay, did you see a copy of it by any chance?
I don't recall, but I don't believe so.
Was the clerk cooperative?
Yes.
I don't have any further questions. Thank you.
Chairman, any questions?
Yes, I have one question in reference to being alcohol trained. I'll direct this question to the individual.
Sure. For now, Chairman, for now, we're just going to do with the detectives.
Yes.
And then we'll go to Mr. Lyman's case in a moment. Any questions for the detectives?
No question for the detective.
Commissioner?
No questions.
Mr. Lyman?
Thank you. We're going to admit the underage service violations and ask to be heard in mitigation. I frankly don't have evidence to supply the board as other than Mike Patel, that's his nickname, Mukesh Kumar Patel's testimony as to his alcohol awareness certification. I'll proffer to the board that he had his certification renewed as of January 24th, 2025. I asked my client, Mr. Patel, Kunal Patel, whether he had certification, and he believed that it was in effect on December 2nd when this violation occurred. He was the manager on duty, Mr. Mukesh Kumar was, and we saw that there's a third charge. And frankly, we're without information to supply the board about that charge. We would ask the board to review its records. Mr. Mukesh Kumar has been manager with a management agreement on file with the board for a number of years. He, in fact, was also the clerk, just like Mr. Bittner's case, who was on duty for the prior violation, underage service violation. I don't have quite the presentation as Mr. Bittner did on a personal relationship, other than Mr. Kunal Patel relies on Mike Patel in order to administer the store, follow the laws, and do what he's supposed to do. In this case, he observed an individual who he believed to be in excess of 30 years old. I believe the guy had a beard or facial hair and a hat on, and he was fooled. The policy is to card anybody who does look like they are under the age of 21. I've asked Mr. Kunal Patel to review that policy and potentially change it. In this case, the clerk, Mr. Mike Patel, overrode the ID scanner in order to make the sale that evening, and he made a mistake. He acknowledges the mistake, and your licensee is considering an appropriate sort of policy. I don't think he's arrived at anything yet. I'm happy to have Mr. Chairman direct any of your questions to Mike Patel or the licensee. As I said, we would admit the violation as to underage service, request the board to consider possibly merging those two counts for a violation of the statute and a violation of the board's rule and regulation. And if there is sufficient evidence as to the lack of certification as to Mr. Patel for alcohol awareness training, I don't believe the board has heard that during this hearing. If the board is reviewing additional documents or records, I would ask that those records be introduced as exhibits for purposes of appeal if the board is to find a guilty violation on the lack of alcohol awareness training for Mr. Patel. That's what I have to present. Happy to have Sitting Chair Mr. Duffy ask any questions of the licensee or Mr. Patel.
We have just been informed that he wasn't certified as alcohol trained.
So thank you, Mr. Sitting Chair. Could we have that testimony entered in the record, please, by whatever witness is giving the testimony?
Yes.
Sure, Edward Aronson.
Well, please stand in.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Please state your name for the
Edward
record.
Aronson, Board of License Commissioner. We do have on file Mr. Patel's alcohol awareness certificate when he applied for the management agreement, and it expired 9/30/2023. We also have a new one on file that was completed 1/24/2025. So we don't have any records showing that he was alcohol awareness certified on 12/2/2024. Does he have a certificate that he could show us that he was certified?
Can I say something? He was rehired back. He used to work in 2022. He did left the job in July 2022 after the first violation we had back in June 2022, I guess. And he was recently hired back in 2023 or 2024. I cannot recall. But he did miss out for almost a year or year and a half, I would say.
So, Mr. Aronson, to answer your question and to sort of complete the record, I don't think we have a certificate to supply the board. That was certainly an oversight
Yes.
for having a manager on duty who was not actually alcohol awareness certified with a current certificate. I would note for the record, however, that the board's records and your testimony do support his prior certification in alcohol awareness training. And
prior, not current.
And
Yeah.
also that the licensee has supplied the corrective measure in providing the training and the certificate to the board effective January 24th, 2025. Thank you.
Chairman, any questions of Mr. Lyman or his clients?
No question.
Madam Commissioner?
No questions.
I'm going to, following the discussion, I'm going to make a motion that we merge the account, and I'm going to make a motion based upon the fact that this is the second account, and we do take very serious selling alcohol to minors. I want to emphasize that so that we can emphasize the fact that we do emphasize the sale of alcohol to minors. And based upon that, I'm going to make a motion that we fine the individual $1,500 per case.
Are you merging the first two and 1,500 for the?
The second two. The third count would be $100. So we're going to do $1,100.
Is that?
No.
My apologies, Chairman. I'm a little confused. Is it 1,500 for the first two counts that are merged, and then 100 for the third count?
Yes,
So 1,600. total.
$1,600 total for the first two count being merged and the second count being $100.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you, Mr. Hurdle.
Thank you, Mr. Lyman.
Thank you, gentlemen. Our next case is for Maris Florist. Maris Florist, Inc., Kimberly Wharton, President, Inspector James Kirzoglu. This license is not restricted. It is for a change of location. Currently, Kimberly Wharton, President, on behalf of Maris Florist, Inc., trading as Mayor's Florist, changing location from 8095C Edwin Rayner Boulevard, Pasadena, Maryland 21122 to 8095E Edwin Rayner Boulevard, Pasadena, Maryland 21122. It's Class GB gift basket, beer, wine, and liquor, and again, it is not restricted. Anybody wishing to testify for or against, please approach the table, remain standing, and raise your right hand for me, please. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you very much. You may be seated. And Mr. Gardner, if we could begin with you, if you could state your name and address for the record, please.
Thank you very much. My name is John Gardner. The address is 7310 Ritchie Highway, Suite 412 in Glen Burnie, 21061. I'm here as counsel for Mayor's Florist. Yeah.
Thank you.
Kimberly Wharton, 2950 East Almondbury Drive in Pasadena, 21122.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Gardner.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hurdle. Preliminarily, I had sent over by email on March 10th the exhibit list, which consists of 27 exhibits, all attached with a list in front of it. And additionally, I have additional copies, 5 copies for the board of the storage permit request. We got approval from the board just before we had to file the exhibit list, and we then filed the application with the Maryland ATCC. My letter is dated March 3rd of 2025. I think I said the exhibit list was sent over March 10th. I think it's March 3rd, actually. Anyway, the same day. So I wasn't able to include the storage permit application, which includes both the board's letter approving it and the cover letter and the application and a copy of the check. But I have 5 copies to submit to the board. And I guess that would be Exhibit 28, even though it's not numbered. But I would ask that they all be admitted into the record.
So admitted, Mr. Gardner.
Thank you. Mayor's Florist is one of the stores that has been in the Chesterfield Plaza, well, since the 1980s, I believe. And this application is for a new license, and it's necessitated only because Valley View Farms Marketplace, which is the anchor supermarket at the end of that plaza, had an opportunity to expand, and the landlord of Chesterfield Plaza agreed to it. The result of that was that they are the marketplace, the supermarket, is moving over 2 spaces, and that bumped Mayor's Florist over 2 spaces, and so it's a change of location, but it's a change of location within, say, 50 feet of each other. But it is to 8095 Edwin Rayner Boulevard, Suite E, and that is the reason for this change. And originally it was going to be Suite C, but I sent a letter, which is Exhibit 27, I think, that requests a change to Suite E, and that's how the application now reads, as I understand it. Mayor's Florist had its original special permit issued about 2 years ago. I was here for that hearing as well, and I believe it's been in good standing ever since. And so I would ask the board for the approval of this new license. Kimberly Wharton is the president and owner of Mayor's Florist, and she's available for any questions the board might have.
Chairman, any questions?
No question. Very well explained.
Commissioner?
Thank you very much.
No questions.
I'm going to make a motion that we approve the license, and for the simple reason that you are moving within 50 feet.
Pretty much. We just got bumped.
Yes.
Through no control of our own.
Through no control.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Gardner.
All right, thank you very much, and I appreciate the commissioner's times.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and good luck with the move.
Thank you.
Okay, our next case is Green Valley Marketplace. Thank you very much, Mr. Bittner. Anybody wishing to testify for or against, please approach the table. Remain standing.
Good evening. With me, in addition to my clients, is co-counsel David Mister.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Mr. Hurdle. Mr. Bittner is going to present our case tonight.
And gentlemen, if you could just please raise your right hands for me. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. You may be seated. And if we could start with you, sir, to my left. If you could give your name and address for the record.
Certainly. David F. Mister, Mr. Winter and Bartlett, LLC, representing as co-counsel for the applicants. I'll address Suite 404, 30 East Padonia Road, Timonium, Maryland, 21093.
Good evening once again, Richard Bittner, B-I-T-T-N-E-R, on behalf of the applicants, 7 Central Avenue, London.
Rick Rogers, Green Valley Marketplace, 7116 Layton Court, Elk Ridge, Maryland.
And Benjamin Green, Green Valley Marketplace, 3514 Anton Farms Road in Baltimore.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Bittner, Mr. Mister?
Thank you, Mr. Hurdle. At the outset, I just formally would move in our application and the submissions that we tendered to the board previously. Pardon me, and I believe all of those submissions are accurate for the purposes of this transfer. That I would have to say, I personally, being a resident of Pasadena and living not far from Angels, I'm very excited about. I know my wife is very excited about, and the whole neighborhood seems to be very excited about the changes that Green Valley has for Angels, but also their proposals to keep those things that the community liked about Angels in place. And we hope they're going to do that. We hope they're going to do that, and we think they will because they have a track record here in the county. Ms. Snoops is familiar with Green Valley, and they recently, as the board may be aware of, took over Lowers in Pasadena, and it's now one of their marketplaces. This is their first and only foray into the alcohol beverage business. None of the other locations, which are all independently operated, have alcoholic beverage licenses. They have a very robust internal training policy that while it hasn't dealt with alcoholic beverages, their other locations do sell regulated products. They sell some over-the-counter medicines, pseudoephedrine that's regulated, fireworks that are regulated, tobacco lottery. So they understand the importance of carding. They understand the importance of alcohol awareness. All potential servers have or will have undergone alcohol awareness. All employees undergo their own alcohol awareness training, their internal training. So even if the butcher has training in alcohol awareness, and they believe that this is important, they've done it in their other locations where they're selling lottery and fireworks, because they want the whole group, the whole team, if you would, and that's the way they've described it to me, to be part of the process. So that if the butcher is out on the floor and sees somebody, he can recognize it, come to the aid of the clerk. They're going to be installing a point of sale ID system so that if any alcoholic beverage is rung up, an ID will be requested. If that ID is not provided or overridden by senior staff, there'll be no sale. So we have, I submit to you, fit and proper persons who understand the business. They are embracing what it is to have alcohol. We've reviewed the rules and regulations. They've gone above and beyond training that this board would require in just alcohol awareness. I'm told that they're going to have new signage posted throughout the store reminding the age of majority for alcoholic beverages, and they're going to take their obligation very seriously to make sure that alcoholic beverages are not made available to minors, either by theft or by sales. They've sat here, they saw the violation cases that were held before their transfer, and we were kind of bantering back and forth about that, and I think that was therapeutic to them to see that and to see the consequences that could befall just really for an accident, for not paying attention. So I believe we won't have, and I suggest most respectfully to the board that we won't have any issues with sales of alcohol to minors or not following the appropriate rules. Mr. Rogers, 40 years experience in food sales, retail sales, as I said, many of those years with regulated products. Mr. Green works the back of the house, so to speak, in management, financing type capacity. Mr. Rogers will be at the store on a daily basis. It's their hope, if this license is approved, that they'll do a closing in the next few days, enter into a management agreement that we'll submit to the board, and that they'll begin operating and transitioning. They're going to have to close for several days to do some cleanup and some remodeling, transition to Green Valley, but then they'll operate under the management agreement until the license is transferred in May. Unfortunately, we had to do that because of the snowstorm. Both Mr. Green and Mr. Rogers will tell you that they do not have any other interest, and no one involved in this license has any other interest in any alcoholic beverage licenses anywhere, and that other than the investors disclosed, there are no other investors, parties involved in this alcoholic beverage license. Starting with you, Mr. Rogers, you've heard what I've had to say. Is what I've told the board accurate?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy, Ms. Snoops, they're happy to answer any of your questions.
Chairman, any questions?
Yes, I have one question in reference to storage and the safekeeping of the alcohol. Where would it be kept on the premises?
We have locked cages in the back room, so any of the product that's not on the sales floor will be locked up in those cages, after hours and during the time that we're open for safekeeping.
Okay.
And we're going to keep the stock at a minimum, use the same footprint that's currently in the store, and not expand outside of that.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner?
I have no questions.
Thank you. I'd ask you move the approval of the transfer.
I make a motion that we approve the transfer.
I second the motion to approve the transfer.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next case is Point Pleasant Beach Tavern. Point Pleasant. Thank you very much, Mr. Lyman. Anybody wishing to testify for or against, please approach the table and remain standing. And if you folks could remain standing for me, please raise your right hand. Thank you. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much. You may be seated. Mr. Lyman, if we could begin with you.
Thank you. Brian Lyman, L-Y-M-A-N, on behalf of the applicant, Mr. Sunil Kumar, and Point Pleasant Beach LLC.
I'm Sunil Kumar from 2002 Monticello Drive, Minneapolis, Maryland.
Thank you.
I'm Rosie Sharma from 2002 Monticello Drive, Annapolis, Maryland.
Thank you.
Mr. Lyman?
Thank you, Mr. Hurdle. We're here for a transfer of a license for a Class D license that includes beer, wine, and liquor, Sunday sales, and dancing. This is located on a 1.1 acre waterfront parcel in Glen Burnie, Maryland. It's located at 1750 Marley Avenue. Your applicant, and by way of proffer and examination, I'd be happy to answer questions, and Mr. Kumar is prepared to answer questions, but I'll proffer that everything that is included in the package that we have submitted is still true and correct as of to date. And I'd ask Mr. Kumar confirm that fact for the board.
Yes.
Okay. Before I get going on the transfer sort of logistics, Mr. Kumar has understood and noted that this is a property, a Class D license that's located in a residential neighborhood. The existing license holder actually lives next door to the licensed establishment, the current licensee. And Mr. Kumar has a contract to purchase the business and the real property from that individual. This is an opportunity for Mr. Kumar to change businesses to some degree. He's been a successful business owner in the HVAC field, and this is a risk for him to venture outside of that footprint and to take on an establishment such as this. I've warned Mr. Kumar to familiarize himself with the board's rules and regulations, and that he understand the risks of undertaking an establishment like this, and especially given the proximity of this location and the privileges that are allowed under this license. He has taken those comments and instructions to heart. I don't know how many times in the past several months I've actually sent him again the board's link to the rules and regulations, but he is extremely familiar with Chapters 3 and 4, the standards of operation and the requirements for becoming a licensee before the board. He is a fit and proper applicant. He owns property in the county. He's been a taxpayer and is a naturalized U.S. citizen. I don't have any suspicion that he would not take his role very seriously should the board feel it appropriate to grant him the transfer of the license. He does not anticipate any changes to the operation from the business as of now. I have explained to him Mr. Harris's penchant for requiring appropriate administrative approval of any changes whatsoever in the operation of the establishment. From the hours of operation to the floor plan, I believe our office has actually submitted a couple of versions of floor plans to meet with the board's requirements in this case, and have clarified both the sort of positioning and layout of the tables, the dance floor, and what have you at Point Pleasant Beach Marina. As I said, Mr. Kumar is a fit and proper person to hold this license. I have warned him about the potential for disputes with his neighbors, and that he needs to operate his business in accordance with community standards, and that this board is interested in enforcing community safety, community peace, and peaceful and appropriate coexistence of a business like this in a residential neighborhood. I'm happy to have the board ask of Mr. Kumar any questions. As I said, I believe the application is complete. The property has been appropriately advertised, and this license, I don't know if it has a prior reputation of issues, but certainly I have explained to Mr. Kumar the obligations that go with becoming a licensee on the transferred license. And I submit that he is a fit and proper individual to hold the license should the board see fit to transfer it. Thank you, Mr. Turtle.
Do you have any questions?
Yes, I have a couple of questions in reference to the establishment itself. Have you done any renovation, I should say?
Nothing yet. No.
Not yet.
So-
It's understanding that you would have to come to the board for any recommendation, accommodation for renovation.
Yes, I know.
Also, in reference to the hours, Mr. Lyman didn't say anything about the hours. So what are the hours of this establishment?
So we are doing from morning 11 to 2 a.m. So as it is, they are using right now. We are doing same way.
Okay, what type of dancing will you have at your establishment?
So dancing is we are planning when we are ready. We have the idea, so we will submit to the board.
I haven't heard any concrete plans, Mr. Duffy, on what kind of acts or what the hours of operation for either live entertainment or for dancing, which might include a DJ or other music or noise that might be disturbing to the residents. I've cautioned Mr. Kumar to ask me for advice and counsel on that.
Yes.
I trust that he will do that. And I just heard him indicate that he was willing to potentially notify the board in advance of any live entertainment plans. I would expect that they might invite local bands, local performers, that sort of thing, for probably Friday or Saturday evening performances, and that those would likely, and my advice would be that they end at no later than 11 p.m. That's my advice to Mr. Kumar. I don't know that he has any specific plans. Obviously, the current licensee has had dancing and live entertainment to some degree on the premises, and Mr. Kumar is extremely cognizant that he needs to maintain both decorum and an appropriate noise level for any live acts or dancing related activities that are heard outside of the licensed premises.
Management agreement. Is there one? Will there be one?
I don't know about that, Mr. Duffy. I don't know if Mr. Kumar will be able to obtain all of the necessary permits in order to go forward and close this transaction with the current licensee, or whether there will be a request for a management agreement to operate the establishment before those documents are available. Obviously, the first step is obtaining the board's approval for transfer. Otherwise, this deal is not going to happen, and the license is not going to transfer, and the business is not going to transfer. So, first things first is obtaining the board's approval from Mr. Kumar, who I believe is a fit and proper applicant, and we will certainly request appropriate management agreement should that need to come to pass to open the establishment under Mr. Kumar's control, potentially ahead of any formalization of the necessary permits for closing of the liquor license transaction and the sale of assets that we anticipate should the board grant its approval.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Commissioner, any questions?
No questions.
No, I'm going to make a motion that we approve the transfer.
I second the motion to approve the transfer.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Commissioner Snoops. I neglected to introduce Mr. Kumar's wife, Ms. Sharma, who is going to be involved only to the degree that she is a wife supporting her husband, as far as I understand it. She told me that she sonograms hearts for a living. So I don't know that she'll be hands-on exactly, but she'll be supporting Mr. Kumar in his venture. Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. And Ms. Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you. Best of luck to you.
Rosie, R-O-Z-Y.
Our next case is Firebird's Wood Fire Grill.
Waive reading.
Thank you, Ms. Schreckengoss. Anybody wishing to testify for or against, please do approach the table and remain standing, sir. And if you could raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much. You may be seated. And Ms. Schreckengost, if you could, for the record, state your name and address.
Thank you very much. Leanne Schreckengoss with Royston, Muller, McLean, and Reed, 102 West Pennsylvania Avenue, Suite 600, Towson, Maryland, 21204.
Thank you. Sir?
Rasan Stone, Firebirds Wood Fire to Grill, 16735 Gooseneck Terrace, Olney, Maryland, 20832.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hurl. If it's okay with the board, I will proceed by way of proffer. First of all, as a preliminary matter, the agenda stated that there were 2 applicants for this license. I submitted all the documentation to remove Mr. Blankenship prior to the first hearing, so I just want to make sure the board's record is accurate that Mr. Stone is in fact the only licensee for this location.
Thank you.
Certainly. Yeah, we are here for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor with entertainment and Sunday sales license for the Firebirds to open at 2500 Riva Road. The entertainment is solely being requested for the fact that they will have more than one TV. They don't have any plans to have any other type of live entertainment at the location. This is their first location in Anne Arundel County. They currently have a location in Montgomery County and one in Frederick. Mr. Stone has been the general manager of the one in Montgomery County since they opened 8 years ago. Is that correct?
Yeah, 8.5.
Yeah. And you've had no violations of that location, correct?
No.
And you have received a copy of this board's rules and regulations?
Yes.
And you understand that as a licensee here, this board's going to look to you should any violations occur at this location?
Yes.
Thank you very much. And you, in fact, will have approximately 85 employees, correct?
Yes.
And of those 85, all the front of house employees undergo your internal responsible alcohol awareness training?
Yes.
And that is refreshed annually, is that correct?
Yes.
And in addition to that, all managers undergo the state-approved alcohol awareness training, correct?
Yes.
And you, in fact, today signed 2 manager approval forms for additional managers at this location.
Yes.
So those will be submitted as soon as we get the updated alcohol awareness training for the board. This location will have seating for 126 in the dining room, 21 at the bar, and 42 on the patio. The patio is enclosed by a 36-inch high prefab aluminum railing, and it is completely adjacent to the building. It will have 2 emergency exit gates for egress only. Everything will be coming in through the restaurant for seating at the patio, and there's even going to be signs posted around the patio that say, "Please see hostess for seating on the patio." There are windows that have the patio completely visible from the inside, so not only will they have server staff assigned to it, but management can also see it from the inside of the establishment. In addition to that, there will be signs posted at the gate saying that they're emergency exit only, along with signs that say no alcohol beyond this point. The hours of operation are going to be Sunday through Thursday from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m., Friday and Saturday from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. With that, their carding policy. They card anybody who looks under the age of 40 and do not accept vertical IDs. So that's been their policy, and it's been working well for them at their other locations in Maryland. So with that, I turn it over to the board for any questions you might have of myself or Mr. Stone.
Chairman, any questions?
Are you, Ms. Swagner, are you planning on getting the outdoors entertainment?
No, no outdoor entertainment.
No outdoors entertainment?
No, there will be no bar on the patio, and there will not be any outdoor entertainment.
Okay, that's fine.
Commissioner?
No questions.
Chairman, do you have a motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion that we go ahead and approve the new license for this establishment.
I second the motion to approve the license.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, our next case, Ms. Schreckengoss, I suppose you can stay put.
And waive reading again?
Thank you. I will say it's for Longhorn Steakhouse. Anybody wishing to testify for or against, please approach the table. Remain standing, and if you could raise your right hand for me. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much. You may be seated. Ms. Schreckengoss?
Thank you very much, Leanne Schreckengoss with Royston, Muller, McLean, and Reed, 102 West Pennsylvania Avenue, Suite 600, Towson, Maryland, 21204.
Jerry Schulte, 2710 Summers Ridge, Odenton, Maryland, zip code 21113.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Schreckengoss?
Thank you very much. I would like to begin by thanking the board for excusing the other 2 licensees, Ms. Lindsay Corin and Ms. Colleen Lyons. Both of them have already been approved as licensees by this board on the 3 other locations that are held by the parent company Darden Restaurants here in the county. So they've proven themselves to be fit and proper people, and I'm happy to say that As far as we've been able to determine, those 3 locations have never had any violations within your county. So, and that's partly thanks to Mr. Schulte sitting here to my left, because he is currently serving as the general manager of the Arundel Mills location. So, has any of your personal information changed since the time we filed this application?
I was at 703 Quiet Pond Court, but now I've updated my address at 2710 Summers Ridge in Odenton, Maryland.
I will formally submit that in a letter for the board. Thank you very much for that. I can tell you that all 3 applicants are stockholders and officers of the licensed entity GMR and Arundel Inc. as required by law. This is an application for a Class BLX license because it is our 4th location in the county. So we are having to meet the BLX requirements, which include a minimum capital investment of at least $800,000. And I do have an exhibit to hand into the board showing that the furniture fixture and alone is over $900,000 for this location, and the entire establishment will have almost a $5 million investment into the county for this facility. The BLX requirements also include parking for 75. We are sharing parking with the entire center after this location is finalized and the pad site is developed. The parking will be at over 1,600 for the entire location. And finally, we are required to have seating of at least 100. In this location, we'll have seating for 158 in the dining room and 26 bar stools. The bar, we are also restricted to have bar seating at just 25% of the total seating. In this case, it amounts to 14% of the total seating at the location, thus meeting all the requirements for the BLX license. The Longhorn concept is known for its passion of grilling fresh, tender, juicy steaks, including their 2 signature dishes, which are Flo's Filet and the Outlaw Ribeye, which is my favorite. So they're a pretty unique concept to the area. Again, they are seeking entertainment only because they're having more than 1 TV. They don't plan to have any other live entertainment at the location. They plan to have approximately 80 employees, and all of their employees also go a very intensive internal alcohol awareness training, and I'm happy to provide you a copy of the PowerPoint presentation of their internal training that they undergo upon hiring. And then in addition to this responsible alcohol service that all employees undergo, all managers go through state-approved training. Their policy is to card anybody who appears under the age of 30, and they are planning to open in October of this year. Lastly, hours of operation are Sunday through Thursday from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. and Friday and Saturday from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. So with that, I turn it over to the board for any further questions.
Chairman, any questions?
One question in reference to the entertainment. Do you plan on having any entertainment other than the 1 TV that you authorized that you're going to have?
Just the second TV. There'll be at least, is there 2 or 3?
2 TVs.
2 TVs, yeah.
2 TVs,
Yeah.
okay. That answers my...
So you get us for the entertainment cost for 2 TVs.
For the 2 TVs, okay. Will there be a management agreement in case you are not thorough?
There will be multiple management agreements. At this point in time, the full staff has not been hired for this location.
Okay.
Because they're not opening until October, so yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner, any questions?
No questions.
Okay. I'm going to make a recommendation that we approve this request for a BLX license to sell beer, wine, and liquor and entertainment on Sunday.
Is there a second?
I second the motion to approve the license.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners.
you.
Thank you, Mr. Hurdle. Thank you.
Good luck. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, our final case of the evening is Smith's Marina. Round Bay Provisions LLC, John W. Sullivan, member. Tim Conroy, member. Jeffrey Dunaway, member. Inspector Scott Montaigne.
We'll waive.
Thank you, Mr. Hyatt. Appreciate that. If anybody willing to testify for or against could remain standing before, yeah, I got you. There we go. And if you could raise your right hands, please. Thank you very much. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much. You may be seated.
Opposition, sit where?
You could sit right here in this front row. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually, and gentlemen, I apologize. I noticed you were standing. Were you sworn in?
No.
Okay, if you could please raise your right hands. You can stand right where you are. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. So what we'll do, just to begin, just to get everybody on the record, if we could start over to the left, I'm going to ask you to come up to the table and state your name and address for the record, and then you can be seated over here. And we will start with 4, and we'll hear the opposition.
Yeah, correct.
Yep. Okay, so, sir, if we could begin with you, if you could come up and turn that microphone on right there, and state your name and address for the record.
Michael Leninsky, 936 Waterview Drive, Crownsville, Maryland.
Great, thank you.
Sir?
Colin Belka, 730 Mink Path, Crownsville, Maryland.
Thank you.
Charles Beverly, 537 Ridgely Road, Crownsville, Maryland.
Thank you very much. So let the record show that there are 3 individuals in opposition to the license here. Sir, if you could state your name and address for the record, please.
Shepard Touye, 614 Taman Drive, Annapolis, Maryland.
Alan Hyatt, 200 Westgate Circle in Annapolis. I'm counsel to the applicants.
John Sullivan. I put down my business address, but my home address is 25 Wagner Street, Annapolis, Maryland, 21401.
Thank you.
Tim Conroy, 930 Coachway Drive, Annapolis, Maryland, 21401.
Thank you.
Jeffrey Dunaway, 1682 Kingsbridge Court, Annapolis, Maryland, 21401.
Great. Thank you very much.
Mr. Hyatt?
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Hurdle, Mr. Ford, and Ms. Snoops. Tonight I'm here on behalf of Round Bay Provisions LLC that's located at the Smiths Marina. And we're asking, that's in Crownsville, and we're asking for a Class D license on and off sale with Sunday sales as well. And I want to explain that I know we have some opposition and you'll hear from them, but we're asking for a Class D license because we want to have the opportunity to sell on and off without the necessity of having a kitchen. We're not looking to have meals here. This establishment is located within a marina that's been in operation for probably almost 90 years. And it is unique because it is the only marina where fuel can be purchased by boats up and down the Severn River. Other than going into downtown Annapolis, the entire river is through the entire river you can only go to Smith's Marina for fuel. And the patrons will come by boat. The concern that you may hear and that we've seen in writing is that this somehow would be disruptive to the neighborhood, but the reality is it's an accommodation to the customers that are coming there to buy fuel, and they buy other provisions as well. And so there's not going to be anybody coming by land. It's not convenient to come by land. And then the hours of operation are just not conducive to the concerns that the opponents raised. In fact, if you are inclined to approve the license, the applicants would consent to a condition to have a 9 p.m. closing, because this is not going to be a significant part of the business, but it is important because people want to have the opportunity to buy the product. And the area that is within the structure that would, where there would be on sale served is small. It's very small. It can only accommodate a handful of people that have stopped by for obtaining fuel or doing something on their boat, because there's 80 slips that are in the marina where people keep their boats and they launch their boats. But this is not going to be a high volume establishment in the best of times with respect to alcohol, and it's simply an accommodation to the patrons that are up and down the Severn River looking to buy fuel. And during the winter months, it'll be sparsely used. You know, this is going to be used during the spring, summer, and fall, but winter, not very many boats out there buying fuel that would come in to buy alcohol. The applicants that are here tonight are John Sullivan to my left, and then Tim Conroy and Jeffrey Dunaway. They're also the owners of the marina. They're here to be applicants for an alcoholic beverage license. And we're suggesting to you, and I also have Shep Touye to my right, and we would offer him as an expert witness with respect to need analysis and an analysis whether this is going to be impactful to the other establishments. I have his resume that I want to introduce into the record. He's testified many times as an expert witness here, and I just want to mention that. But Mr. Sullivan will do most of the talking tonight, and I would just say that these folks are seasoned business people. They understand the obligations of holding an alcoholic beverage license. They know there's a requirement to have alcohol awareness training. They know all that, and they are simply asking for this board to grant a license to allow them to sell alcoholic beverages as a small part of their business, but something that accommodates their customers. So with that, I would call on Mr. Sullivan, and if you pull the microphone up. Mr. Sullivan, you've already stated your name and address for
Yes,
the
sir.
record. What is your role at Smith's Marina, and what would your role be at the proposed Round Bay provisions that we call the establishment that would operate the alcoholic beverage portion of your business?
I'm the owner-operator of Smith's Marina and the owner-operator of Round Bay Provisions.
Would you describe for the board, I mentioned that Smith's had been there a long time. In fact, you not too long ago purchased the business from the Smith family, but I would like you to just tell the board where the marina is located and how long it's been there, and a little bit of information about what goes on at the marina.
Sure. Smith's Marina's started in 1937, so we're coming up on our 90th anniversary. The three of us purchased Smith's Marina from the family 2 years, 10 days ago. We have made several capital improvements into the marina. We employ a lot of the local high school kids in the neighborhood, and a lot of folks having their first job there. We're a full-service marina. We do everything from repairs to waxing, buffing, polishing, pot and painting. We have a marina store, and we have a full-service gas dock. We're a facility for pump outs. We're a clean marina, and continue to be.
Is it accurate to state that Smith's is the only marina selling fuel along the Severn River?
It's the only marina on the Severn selling fuel. The next closest one would be City Dock Marina in downtown.
So that's a 10, 12 mile
Yeah,
hike.
right about 10 miles.
Mm-hmm. So the other items that you sell, provisions, I'll say, are what?
We have
type?
chips, snacks, ice cream, ice bait, live bait, frozen bait. We do a complete marina store with provisions for chancery of a boat, life-saving equipment, things like that.
Have your customers asked about purchasing alcoholic beverages?
We have that request daily. Even this week, even this afternoon, the posting's still up. I had 2 people come in and said, finally, we'll be able to stop here and get it, or if we run out. On the dock at home, we could have one of our kids run us over to purchase it. We're not going to promote drinking and boating, but it's just a convenience for both sides of the Severn, for the Severna Park side all the way down to town.
If the license is granted, what would your hours of operation be?
The maximum hours would be 9 to 9, and that's only during the peak months. We're asking for 9 to 9 just to see what the demand is. I would imagine it's going to be less than that. It will adjust as the volume adjusts.
But you would agree to a condition if this board so chooses to impose a condition with a 9 p.m. closing, is that correct?
At the latest.
Okay, all right. Now you have submitted, or I have submitted to the board certain floor plans, and they should be part of the application, Mr. Chairman. I would offer them into the record if they're not already in the record, but I want to take a moment and have Mr. Sullivan refer to those floor plans, so hopefully you have them in front of you. The floor plan that I'm showing you indicates that there's a basement floor plan, right?
Yes, sir.
But it's not really the basement, it's it's ground
it's a
level,
lockout,
right?
Lockout basement, if you will.
So you have an area that's shaded, that is a deck area, but that would not be used for alcoholic beverage sales unless and until it's enclosed, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So you're not going to have anything open or outside or?
No tiki bar, no outside seating.
All right.
Sorry.
And then on the inside, the adjacent to the shaded area is the area that is shown with like, what, 3 tables?
3 tables, a 6 seat bar, just to quantify the tavern permit. We'll be able to serve some drinks. That's not going to be a big part of our business. Our big part of the business, or the big part of the little part of the business, will be the carryout.
And not to be redundant, but would you consider alcoholic beverage sales, if the license is granted, to be a significant part of your business?
No.
Do you believe that your patrons will visit the establishment by boat only, or do you expect to have people coming by vehicle?
99% should be by boat.
It's just not that convenient to get to, is it, by vehicle?
Off the beaten path pretty far.
And there's many other package stores that
There's
you
a
would
lot
go
of places
to if you're driving, right?
A lot of places you can stop before that.
Would you agree that April to November is really the boating season, right?
Yes.
That's when you're going to have most of the activity, right?
Yes.
In the other months, you're doing boat repairs and things like that, so you're not going to be selling very much alcoholic beverages, right?
It's pretty quiet out there in the winter.
Okay. You understand that you must have someone on the premises at all times that you're open and selling alcoholic beverages that is alcohol awareness trained. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
You had the opportunity to review the rules and regulations of this board?
Yes.
Okay. And I would just ask the gentleman to your left, have you had the opportunity to review the rules and regulations of this board? I'll ask each one of you.
Yes, I have.
I have also.
Okay. And do you agree with the testimony of Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, covered everything.
Okay. Very good. That would conclude my questioning of this witness. Now, we did submit a affidavit and a photograph of the sign. Is that something that you have in the record?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to confirm that. And there was some complaint about that sign, but it certainly was posted in a conspicuous location as the rules require. So with that, I would call Mr. Touye, and I have his resume that I would like to offer into the record, so you have that. And I would ask Mr. Touye just to take a moment to give a little background of your experience and what you've done in terms of testifying with respect to the support of applications for alcoholic beverage licenses, particularly before this board. Just summarize.
Oh, I guess I did my first liquor license testimony in the late 90s, I guess, and I've been here many times. I testified on a number of license types all over the county. I I think that, just speaking generally, the board's aware. There was a period of time where there was a lot of off-sale licenses coming to the board, and there was a lot of opposition to off-sale licenses. And I think that the license that is before the board tonight is unique. It is not a liquor store in a strip center or on a highway. It is a full-scale marina and a very unique application in my experience.
You have testified many times before this board as an expert opining on public need. Is that correct?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'd ask that Mr. Touye be accepted as an expert witness because you have accepted him on numerous occasions.
So accepted.
Thank you. Mr. Touye, you're familiar with the application being considered here tonight, right?
I am, yes.
Have you visited the site?
Yes, I did visit the site.
Have you had the opportunity to review the plans that have been submitted to the board?
Yes.
Did you also take the time to investigate where the closest other licensed establishments are to this proposed establishment that hold alcoholic beverage licenses?
Yes.
Tell the board about that.
Okay. I typically review off-sale licenses in the context of a primary and secondary market, and the primary market would be within 1 mile and the secondary would be within 3 miles. And I did a search and examined records from the board and found that the nearest off-sale license is a Class D. It's within Harold Harbor. It's a combination of Harbor Inn and Harbor Mini Mart. This is 400 Harold Harbor Road. I visited that store. It's attached, I guess the Hideaway is the restaurant portion, and the Mini Mart is the off-sale portion. So it's a convenience store within the neighborhood of Harold Harbor.
How close is that, more or less, to this?
It's a little more than a half a mile away as the crow flies, not as you traverse the streets.
Is that property waterfront?
No. It's in the heart of Harold Harbor, where the fire station and community property, the Harold Harbor is an older community. Everybody's probably familiar with it, but because it was originally subdivided in the 30s by almost a giveaway program by the Washington Herald, I believe it was, the newspaper. There are a lot of 25-foot wide lots, and you combine those into a 50-feet wide lot, and so it's a very dense R5 type subdivision. There's a number of homes there on the interior, and of course it has a lot of waterfront from Valentine's Creek all the way around to where Smith's is located and on the Severn. So there's a variety of housing types in there. So that community, in my opinion, has access to the convenience of the Harbor Inn, the Harbor Mini Mart, right in the center of that subdivision, that neighborhood. The next closest one would be the General's Wine and Spirits, right on General's Highway. It's about 1.7 miles to the southwest. It's a full-scale liquor store, and I believe they also have a tavern area for a bar for a service to customers, to serve customers inside. The next one would be to the south, which is the Ram's Head Roadhouse, which we know Ram's Head Roadhouse has their own proprietary beer that they sell, beer and ales. And it is, I personally do not know to what degree they pursue off-sales there, but it is an attractive spot for dining and entertainment. And then the last one, 2.5 miles away, is to the northwest up General's Highway, and that would be Waterbury liquors. It is also another full-scale liquor store. That is the only one that is a Class A packaged goods store. Rams Head, Generals Highway, and Harbor Mini Mart are all Class D. So we have one Class A within 3 miles, two Class D within 3 miles, and the one Class D within 1 mile.
Would you agree that boaters going up and down the Severn River are certainly not going to go to the stores that you just mentioned? They can't access them, right?
I don't know of a vehicle that would be able to do that.
So is it fair to say that Smith's Marina and its license, if it's granted, would not be competing with these establishments? They wouldn't make a dent into these establishments. Is that fair to say?
Yes, I don't think, I mean, I would certainly agree, having visited the site and talked to Mr. Sullivan at the site and seeing the proposed premise, I just don't see that there's, that it's going to be a convenience for anybody but the boaters. Now, if you live, within, a few blocks, you could walk down there in the summertime sometimes if you want, but compare that kind of a customer to 80 slips and the only gas stack on the Severn River, and I just don't think there's any comparison. Of course, somebody walks in and they're of age, then they could be served, and somebody could drive there. But again, most people, if they're running errands, they're up and down Generals Highway, and they have the other 3 stores that I mentioned. So I think it's a unique application in that sense. And I did some research on marinas in the vicinity, and I would tell the board that the Severn River has 15 commercial marinas and 55 community marinas, and between the two of them, there's 2,087 slips. And so the people who use their community marina or have a slip at another commercial marina, they're going to need fuel, they're going to come to Smith's, and if they wanted to go into the licensed premise and purchase some alcohol, then they would be entitled to if this application were granted. But it's significant in the sense that there are so many slips, so much boating on the Severn River, and the singular provision of fuel sales at Smith's Marina makes this very unique, in my opinion. So I really don't think that there's going to be an impact on these other licenses I've mentioned within 3 miles.
How about impact on the community generally? Do you think an establishment like this that closes at 9 p.m. with boat traffic has any negative impact on the neighborhood?
No. People drive, to see their boat in the winter. Obviously, in the winter, the boats are usually up on land. In the summertime, they're in the water. People go park, go to their boat. If they're going to go out for overnight or just up the river, they're going to drive. And they're going to, again, have this ability to utilize the facility.
Any other reason that the community should be concerned?
No, it's such a small premise. It is all facing toward the water. The entrance to the facility is from the parking lot right off the street. You walk up the steps to the first floor, and then there's a stairwell down the stairs to the tavern premise, which is at grade with the shoreline. And so when you're down there, you're looking at all the boats and the activity that goes on. So the immediate neighbors, to a certain extent, of course, they've already been neighbors to a large marina, but They're also shielded because the marina building itself is in between the road and them, wherever they might be. And this is a dead-end street. There's really only a few houses on it. The adjacent property happens to be the point of departure that's travels back and forth between St. Helena Island. So that is a unique space itself. They have their own ability, because of their pier, to go out to the island and back all year long. That is, essentially a residential use that services the island. And then beyond that, I believe there's a large waterfront property. And on the way there, of course, you do pass a few more homes. But I don't see any issue with respect to public health, safety, or welfare. And I believe it's going to be a rather low-key 634 square foot tavern space that's going to cater to the boaters.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just for housekeeping purposes, I have 5 pages that I think were submitted with the application, 5 different sets of plans. I want to make sure they're in the record, and I believe you acknowledge that they were already. And then our affidavit with our photograph showing the posting of the sign, and then Mr. Tuyer's resume, all on the record. And that would conclude our...
I can see that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
I'm sorry. Just one more
one
point.
One more statement from Mr.
I beg the board's pardon and indulgence here. Public need has been defined in the case law, in the Quan case, where it's a convenience and it's necessary that it will be convenient, useful, appropriate, suitable, proper, or conducive to the public in the area. And I believe we meet this standard in that case, and I will also reiterate that for the vast majority of the public, in this instance, it's going to be the voting public.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Again, just for the record, these I want to make sure these exhibits are in the record as mentioned, and I would conclude my case in chief with a right to respond to the opponents. Thank you.
Mr. Hyatt, just very briefly for housekeeping, my apologies. The additional 445 square feet won't be used in any capacity until the whole project is constructed. Is that correct?
Correct. That's right.
Thank you. Does the chairman have any questions for Mr. Hyatt or his clients?
I have a question for Mr. Hyatt as well as his client. Are you aware of the fact that Class D tavern comes with the following? And I ask this because of the fact that it wasn't mentioned. The requirement for a function bar to include ice and hot and cold water, as well as a sink.
We are aware.
Yes, sir.
And we have that.
And you have
We
that?
do have, yes.
You do have that?
Correct.
Okay. So my other question is, are you planning on having outdoors dining at any point in time?
No dining.
Nope.
No dining whatsoever?
Nothing outdoors.
Nothing outdoors.
That's right.
Being on the water, I can understand. Okay.
Commissioner, any questions?
No questions.
We're going to turn it over to the opposition. Each of you has 2 minutes to speak. We would certainly appreciate if the testimony is not redundant. It's probably to your benefit. There is a timer. Please introduce yourself when it's your turn.
My name is Charles.
Can you spell your last name when you testify? Yes. Thank you.
My name is Charles Beverly, resident. I'm the owner of 537 Ridgely Road. Last name is Beverly, Beverly.
You can proceed, Mr. Beverly.
My opposition would be that this is a residential area. I do understand that the marina has been there. I spoke to John many times. My property backs up to the marina, and I know that his intentions are well, but I think it's hard and a little disingenuous to say that the majority of the patrons will not linger outside. I think if you take a boat up to the tavern, there's gonna be some outside drinking. I think we can all, suffice to say that. My other concern would be noise, and that noise on the water, the noise carries. So not just the residents that are on Ridgely, but I also think that the residents that are across the beach on Palisades would also hear a lot of that noise. And another thing that I was a little upset about was that none of the residents on the street were contacted. I know I see John just about every day. And many of the people who live on the street had no idea that this was happening. I think I'm the only one that's here. And that'll be it.
Thank you, Mr. Beverly.
Colin Belka. I own 528 Ridgely.
Can you spell your last name, sir?
Belka, B-E-L-K-A.
Thank you.
I own a house that adjoins the property, 529 Ridgely. My concern is kind of what Charlie was saying, traffic, noise. I'm not sure why they're going for a Tavern D license if they're talking about doing packaged goods sales. Isn't there a Tavern A license for that? That would accommodate them to sell beer and wine to boats that come to the fuel dock. So as we all know, a Tavern D license can be a full-blown restaurant in a few years if they choose to do that. What they say now, what their plan is now, may be. But if you have a Class D, you can put a restaurant there. The building they're putting in is 3,700 square feet. It'd make a nice waterfront restaurant. And the only one on the Severn River, besides the Severn Inn, which has terrible boat docking. So it's not really good for boating, excuse me, boating diners. So my concern is, live right across the street from this place. It could be a big waterfront restaurant with lots of night traffic because they have, I believe, 6 a.m. to 2 a.m. licensing, the Tavern D license. So closing at 9 might be their plan, but they have a 2 a.m. license with a Tavern D license. And we all know, and maybe they sell with this license and the next people want to put a restaurant there. Once the Tavern D is granted, they can pretty much open a restaurant from 6 a.m. to 2 a.m. every day of the week, on off. That's my concern, and that's why I'm here. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Michael Lenensky, 936 Waterview Drive. Alan's kind of my mentor, so I hate being here right now. But I just wanted to point out a few procedural issues on the application. If you turn to the first page, they actually say Smith's Marina is R2. It is not R2. It's, I think it should go back to Planning and Zoning for review. It's actually a different classification. Some of the things that they point out, and they point to the sections of the code that under R2, and then I guess the second sentence is they point to 18, 16, and 102 or whatever. An adult bookstore, an adult theater could go in there. My preference would be for this to go back to Planning and Zoning and do this correctly and have it zoned correctly and the application resubmitted. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir.
May I be heard to close?
Rebuttal, yes.
Yeah, just a couple of comments. I think the concerns are what the establishment could be, what it might be, but what's in front of you is a pretty simple, narrow request. You know, there's just not enough parking there to support a restaurant. There's not enough boat slips for people to linger. People are going to come, they're going to buy their goods, and they're going to go. And those that do have slips that they keep their boats at the marina, they might be inclined to sit in the bar for a little bit longer. But people coming in on their boats are going to be in and they're going to be out. And the property is, I saw that the Office of Planning and Zoning mentioned R2 in its approval, but we submitted the zoning map. It's in the application. It's MA2, that's the zoning, so it's correct. There's no no harm and no foul here. And the reality is the request before you is very narrow, very simple. It's a small part of this operation. Nobody is going to travel by automobile to this site when there's so many more establishments that offer a broader inventory. It's just not going to happen. This is for the boaters up and down the Severn River that are going to come in there and buy their fuel and buy other provisions along with the folks that keep their boats there on a regular basis. And that's all. That's all. And if somebody wants to come here later and ask for a restaurant, you know, it isn't going to be these guys, I can tell you that. And it just doesn't work for them. And the marina's been there 90 years as a marina, full service marina. So I think it's unlikely. I think that there would be any expansion. It's going to be a non-event to the community. And I would respectfully ask that this board approve the license. And as we stated, if you want to impose a condition of a 9 p.m. closing, we'll do it. We'll agree. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hyatt. You have a motion, Chairman?
I'm going to make the following motion, and I want to thank the community for coming out in opposition of this tavern, and I thank you very much for that. But we are going to approve this marina because of the fact that it shows that it have all the function for that's required for a tavern license. It has the sink, the running water, the bar, and the ice, hot and cold water. And that's to say to the community that we have this before us, and that is not to say what they're planning on doing in the future. We can only go by what is before us tonight. And I say, based upon the fact that it doesn't interfere with the safety of the community, it doesn't appear to have any adverse action against the community, safety, the health, and so forth, that I'm going to make the recommendation to approve this Class D tavern license.
Are there any restrictions that the chairman proposes for the hours?
That we stick with the hours of 9 to 9. That be the only restriction that's placed upon the accommodation of this service.
Is there a second?
I second the motion to approve the license.
All in favor?
Aye.
And just to be a reminder, Mr. Hyatt, there can only be consumption in the licensed premises. If
We understand.
there's any consumption on the dock or on any other part of the property, that would be a concern that the community would be reasonable to bring to our attention.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we conclude the meeting, I just wanted to bring to the board's attention that we have to approve the minutes from the last hearing.
Okay.
To the board, all in favor of approving the minutes from the last hearing?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Meetings is adjourned.
Oh.